let's get started with the news that OU hires. So the coaching staff is now complete. We finally know who we're going to have all 2025 season. OU hires finds a DC since they've been looking since December 29th, and hires Arkansas State's former defensive coordinator Nate Dreiling, which 34 years old, had some success at Utah State. He was the interim head coach there, and then he was actually hired January 3rd at I forget the Arkansas State, I believe.
I don't know. This was all on you.
But then, kind of in the middle, after being hired there, BV hits him up, and he's obviously at Oklahoma now. He just some background on him that I found. He was a linebacker at Pittsburgh State in Kansas. He was a 4-time All-American, was the Division II Defensive Player of the Year, and then he played some NFL football, made a couple practice squads with the Chiefs and the Packers.
Still not easy to do?
No.
Almost it's still not hard to do. It's not bad at all. Oops.
And he'll coach inside linebackers, so that'll be his specialty and kind of what he focuses on. What I'm wondering is, how this is going to be with Skalski, kind of being a linebackers coach already, and then obviously having the chance to get another guy like Wes Goodwin. Sorry, I laughed at this comment right there by Rolo. But let's kind of talk about the Nate Dreiling hire. He's a younger guy. Had really good comments whenever when he was hired for Utah State, and was really a guy that I think that BV is excited to get on. Someone that he knows he can trust to bring energy and has a good defensive mind to kind of coach the position.
Right. I personally, I like that he's coaching a position that he played, and I know that maybe sounds like, yeah, that's how it should be. That's not always the case. You don't always have coaches who played the position. They just learned it necessarily. So I always think it's a good thing to have someone who's played the position, because as an athlete, you're more willing to listen to them, especially if they played at that next level. Even a practice squad, you still played at that next level. That's still an opportunity. That's still getting paid to play football. And so I think that is in and of itself a very important thing to have on your staff. But I don't know. Yeah, no,
you're 100% right.
That's kind of all my thoughts of that. I just liked that he's going to be coaching a position that he played at a very high level and was very successful at.
Yeah, and he's going to be younger, relate to the players. I think that's what they liked about Zach Alley so much, was that he was able to relate to the players a little more, which is not easy to do when you're much older than them, I feel like. I mean, I had classmates that were so much younger than me, and it was just the lingo is different. Like what they watch and talk about is just so different.
I went on a bachelorette party, and it was fun, but there was someone there that was just minorly younger than us, like 5 years maybe, not even like 10, 15 years, like 5 years, and I felt like her interests were vastly different than most of the rest of us. And again, like with the trends she followed and the things she said and what she was interested in and how big she was into TikTok versus us, like it was very, very different. So, and even I know being at like the ladies clinic, hearing some of the things like how the guys interact with each other, I was like, what is that? I felt like a grandma. Like, what does that mean? Like, what?
I get it. I felt like that all the time in school. It is not even funny. So the other hire that Oklahoma makes is defensive coordinator, or former Clemson defensive coordinator Wes Goodwin. I think one that we all kind of saw, if there was going to be a hire that really fit well with BV, it would have been this one. And I think that it makes a lot of sense. He is coming in with a lot of actually some really good experience with BV and them. He began as a GA with Mississippi in 2005. Obviously got to the Clemson back in 2017, I believe, 2018, where he was a senior defensive analyst with BV. So a lot of familiarity there, and obviously he took over the defensive coordinator roles whenever BV came to Oklahoma in 2020.
Do you know how old he is?
I'm not sure. No, I think around 40.
Okay, so he's still, I say still pretty young.
Mm-hmm. So
still rather relatable. Maybe not.
Well, he's got the analyst position. So now in the SEC, remember they changed the rule last year that analysts can coach. So he's not just going to have to stay in the booth and make sure he's separate from the team. We found that we were able to take advantage of that with the quarterback coach situation, and I think that BB is going to feel really comfortable and really be able to sort of not take off. Obviously, he's not a or pedal off the gas kind of guy, but just not have to feel like he has to handle as much all on his shoulders, which we're going to get into in a minute. But obviously he's still going to have to. But having a guy that you're comfortable with, that you know you can trust, and that there's at least familiarity there when he walks into the building is going to be beneficial.
Right. And someone who you would think would know your system and what you like and what you like to see, and I don't know, type of drills you like to do, or just little things like that. Especially we know how detail oriented Brent Venables is. So to have somebody that you know that can execute those details or teach those details or correct those details would be really big for him, especially like you mentioned, to take some of that weight off of his shoulders. But
no, I agree.
mean, if he was at Clemson under BV, that was a pretty dang good defense back in the day.
Yeah, he was there too whenever they were stacked. I mean, he was with the Cardinals before he got to Clemson. He was there with Bruce Arians, but there's going to be an ability for him to come in and still understand the culture, like you were saying, how he likes to run practices, the intensity, and being able to just jump into that and go from the get-go. It was going to be really awesome.
Right. No, for sure.
Sort of similar to how we talked about the familiarity that you're going to get with Arbuckle and Mateer. You know, they both already understand each other.
Right.
They've been together before. And being able to do that, I think, is going to be just such a plus for a team that's really going to be going to have to hit on all cylinders with the kind of schedule we're going to have going next year.
That one's not super easy at all. No, definitely that's always good. And for quarterbacks especially, to already know a system, seemingly, just makes it that much easier of a transition versus if we had not gotten Mateer and had to start with Michael Hawkins or whomever else we would have gotten. That's not shade at them. It's just you're having to learn another system after potentially what Michael Hawkins had to learn last year,
right,
under Joe John Finley and Seth Luttrell. So it's just a good. I'm excited about that side of the ball as well. I'm still hesitant. I'm still I don't want to say worried because that is a strong emotion, but I mean a little bit. You know, I'm still hesitant. Hesitance probably what I'm going to stick with about that side of the ball, but I'm a little more hopeful because I do actually have a lot of faith in Ben Arbuckle, and I think having an experienced quarterback who already knows the system and has already seemingly stepped into a leadership role despite being new to the team just makes me a little more hopeful.
Yeah.
But I'll keep the sunshine pumping a little low.
More
like a flashlight pumping instead of sunshine pumping.
That's actually funny. You saw Mateer this week at the meet Friday.
I did. Yeah, the football boys were there at the meet, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so he got on the mic.
There you go. How a little more talkative than Arnold was?
It was actually really funny because he, came up and talked a little bit and then led the Boomer Sooner chant, and the woman in front of us goes, "Who was that talking?" And it was just definitely like, because she knew everything about gymnastics and all the athletes there, which I love, but it's just funny how like it was seemingly a person who didn't care about football as much, and you never really see that. Normally it's the opposite. People don't know anything about smaller sports, which is why I try to bring a light on them. I say smaller sports, but less popular.
Yeah.
So I was to let her know, like, or my best friend and I were like, oh, that's John Mateer. He is our transfer quarterback. He followed Ben Arbuckle, who's our new offensive coordinator, so he's probably going to be our starting quarterback next year. She's like, oh, okay. I don't think she cared, but
yeah.
But anyways, she learned something new.